sign, and my sign is going to say, I could get equal treatment in Cuba.
Well, it's true. And
because I feel that way. I feel that if I were in Cuba, I couldn't be treated any worse than what I'm being treated here in not being allowed to go in front of a jury of my peers of citizens, because that's all I am now. I am Jesse Ventura, citizen. And I can't go in front of a jury of my peers and have them decide whether my constitutional Bill of Rights, Fourth Amendment, is being violated, because the government won't let me. Now that's oppression. That is not freedom. That is not... Our founding fathers, I couldn't imagine what they would think about this decision.
Well, you're right, and now they're announcing, hey, we've been using OnStar to listen to you without warrants. Hey, those smart meters, they can track what you're watching on television. That's mainstream.
Well, how about the Viper teams now in Tennessee? I just saw it on the internet, the TSA Viper teams. Tennessee just passed at the state of Tennessee, apparently, where these TSA people are going to be out on the highways now.
Yeah, they're codifying it.
And they're using the old bus weigh, or the old truck weigh-in spots that, those places they always used to weigh the trucks. Yeah, they're using those. Those are going to be the new operational things where the TSA is going to operate. So get ready, people. If you sit back, go, oh, well, it's just us airport people. It's just those people that fly that are going to be stepped on by this TSA Gestapo-type living that they're putting upon us. Well, it's not. Now it's going to the highways. Now don't be surprised if you get pulled over. And they said they're going to have sniffing dogs out there, too.
Oh, they've all over the Texas coast, hundreds of miles from the border. You take any little ferry over, they search your whole car, pull you out. But now, as you said, all over the U.S., in the middle of the country, I've seen it on the news, they pull families out, and now they say they're going to start groping. They've got federal grants where they start taking blood at checkpoints. Now, they now admit, Kathleen Sebelius admits they're going to merge the Department of Health and Human Services with Homeland Security and do forced inoculations, Gov. That's what this is really all about. Used to... Well,
I'm going to keep it at my level, Alex, simply that the fact is that I have to fight it at this level. The fact that they will not allow me to take my freedom into a courtroom and to have a ruling on my Fourth Amendment of reasonable search and seizure. And that's where I'm sticking with mine. I got to focus on what I can focus on and what directly affects me the most and what I can do about it. So that's all I'm going to focus on. I can't get into the inoculations and all that type of stuff, although it wouldn't surprise me because, as I said, let me clear up a few things. The press has been misquoting me, saying how I'm going to give up my U.S. citizenship. I never once stated that. I simply stated I was going to apply for Mexican citizenship, my wife and I, over the fact that we live half the year down there anyway. I might as well have dual citizenship. And yet the media has twisted it, meaning, but I did absolutely say that I will never stand for the national anthem again, and that if I do, I will take the pose of Tommy Smith and John Carlos, the two Olympians in '68, if you were old enough, who shocked the world when they won gold and bronze and stood up with a closed fist and with a black glove in the air and bowed their heads in shame that they were winning a gold medal for a country that wouldn't even give them their civil rights. And that's kind of how I feel right now. I live in a country that won't even give me my rights, my constitutional rights, while I bow my head in shame and raise a black fist into the air.
Well, it will certainly get their attention. And I think this is breaking news here that because I searched and searched and finally found one person who'd put your whole speech on the internet. The Associated Press and others edited it. And then when I talked to you, you weren't saying I'm giving up my U.S. citizenship. You were saying that, well, I'll just try to get dual citizenship. And at least so I have some place to go to sometimes. and spend more time in Mexico, or I can totally fight it and you know, run for president. And and so I think that's a major issue, and because they've tried to demonize you now and claim that you hate America. No, these are the people destroying what America stands for, the Bill of Rights and Constitution. So they turn it around and now try to say you're the anti-American, and I have all these headlines. Here's one of them.
I am, Alex. I am anti-America when my country won't let me go to court, yes.
Well, let's be specific.
And I think if the First Amendment is still out there, if that even exists, don't I have the right to be able to say it?
Yeah, you do, but just to be specific, this is a foreign banking cartel that is absorbing the republic. I mean, you love your country, you dislike your government, correct?
Exactly. It's like my T-shirt on the internet. I love my country, not my government.
So that's what you're saying. But, I mean, specifically because this will get quoted. Great folks like, you know, Drudge and people out there have actually carried what you really said. But I mean, just to correct anything else that the mainstream media got wrong.
Well, it's simply the fact that, you know, I never said that I'm giving up my U.S. citizenship. That's a lie right there. And I don't know, you know how they're going to spin everything. They don't even focus on what the case is about. They focus because I may say some provocative things, and that's what they focus in on, is my provocative mouth, for lack of better terms. But you notice none of them are actually getting into the meat and potatoes of why was he denied. And you know, one of the reporters had to laugh. He looked at me and he goes, well, he said, if you're not going to fly, how are you going to get to Mexico now? And I looked at him and said, I haven't flown to Mexico yet. I said, I drive it every year. I said, 3,000 miles one way. I said, it'll have no effect on me going to Mexico. And he was kind of stunned, you know, that you drive it. You know, well, I drive everywhere now. And I'm trying to wake people up to the fact that, you know, it's out on our highways now. You know, Border Patrol is no longer at the border. Border Patrol is now 200, 300 miles in from the border on our interstate highways. And I'm trying to tell these reporters, don't you realize in a matter of years you're going to have to show an ID to go to Iowa if you live in Minnesota?
Well, it's worse than that. 2 years ago in Tennessee, they started this in 5 other states, and the governor said, don't, I mean, it was in the news, he said, don't do this. They have the Army out there under TSA command in, quote, a drill, pulling over shutting down whole highways for hours, and they told the governor, basically, go to hell. And
I can believe that. You know, we've allowed our federal government to become far, far too powerful than what our forefathers had in mind for it.
Let me raise this, Governor. What do you, because it's all over the news now, they're now announcing FEMA is ordering in the Ozarks and all over the country, people who've had houses for upwards of 80 years, the government's going to, ordering them to demolish their house at their expense, and they're just ordering people's lake houses moved. I mean, this government is just, it's beyond North Korea. It's like cancer.
Well, you know, and the sad part is that our citizens out there, many of them, think it's just fine because they're being protected. I said to a guy yesterday on the radio, this character in Minneapolis that called me Kim Kardashian, I said to him, don't you listen to Ben Franklin when Ben Franklin said, those who will give up their liberty for security deserve and shall have neither? You know what his response to me was? That was 300 years ago. What Ben Franklin said then doesn't apply to today.
It was 230 years ago.
Whatever.
Sure, he's an idiot. But I mean, that's...
And this guy's on the airwaves. This guy is broadcasting what seems to me what mainstream America believes today.
No, sir.
By the way, I do need to get a message out, a coded message, and I'll take time to do it right now, Alex, on your show. Okay?
Go ahead.
KG in Boston, please call me. KG in Boston, who I know listens to Alex's show, I need to talk to you. Call me at home, KG.
Is that a famous sports person?
No. It's just a person. Anyway, we'll move on. If he's listening, he'll know.
Well,
and he told me he listens all the time. But anyway, Alex, I'm so frustrated right now at how come people in America don't even care that my case was thrown out.
Governor, that is not what's happening here.
Well, I hope not, but, nobody's... here's the other thing, too, Alex, that I question. Where was the ACLU on my case? I spoke to my attorney yesterday, and I said, David, did any of these organizations come forward to offer any type of help in this case I brought forward? He said nobody.
No, it's called an amicus brief. But let me stop you, Gov. You've got a great lawyer. You've won cases before, but let's just go back here. I want to be specific. The polls show over 90% are against the TSA. Most talk show hosts are against it. Most listeners are against it. They know it's a fraud. I've talked to local TV reporters who are told to go out to the Austin airport. They'll interview 40, 50 people before they get one person who likes to be groped, and then they're told to put that on the news. So this is the system desperately trying to sell something that's totally unconstitutional, and you brought a lot of light to this. It's because what you're doing is so honest and true that the system either is going to demonize you, not talk about the case, or ignore you, just like Ron Paul. They've done scientific studies, and he's still number 2 or number 3 in all the major polls, that he gets the least amount of coverage, and what he does get is negative. It's a badge of honor. If you had the devilish system, this whole corrupt Nazi system liking you, that would be a problem, Governor.
I understand that, but I guess you have more faith in the people, I guess, than I do today, because I'm not seeing or hearing anything. I'm not seeing or hearing any outrage. I mean, other than you, Alex, and a handful of people of my inner sanctum, I haven't even had nobody tell me, hey, thanks for doing what you're doing. Not that I need it, but I just would like to feel that this country isn't, for lack of a better term, drinking the Kool-Aid of the fluoride in the water, and they just don't give a damn.
Well, that's why. That's it, sir. You've done investigations on that. We have a drugged, brain-damaged public. These are victims. We've got to continue to wake them up. Stay there. We'll be right back with Jesse Ventura. Stay with us.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Hundreds of nations have fallen to tyranny in the last century alone. This is our last chance to not relive history.
As we're finishing off this agenda, they'll be pulling the rug from underneath Americans at home.
I have tremendous influence on our president and Congress, and they really are calling the shots.
I think it's incumbent upon all of us as American citizens to pay attention.
Fall of the Republic identifies the enemies of our nation, the criminal offshore cartel, hell-bent on destroying sovereignty, and on its ashes constructing world government.
Tim Geithner, Bernanke, they're arsonists. They're asking for more matches. And the Congress is saying, who do we make the check out to?
Today, seems like nobody does care. And right now in Washington, D.C., we have seen a fall of the Republic.
Get your copy of Fall of the Republic on DVD at Infowars.com or watch it online right now in super high quality at prisonplanet.tv. Alex Jones here with vital information concerning our nation's fragile food supply. Folks, there are some truly dangerous trends forming, and I think it's important for my listeners to do 3 things right away. Number 1, study the past. History really does repeat itself. Number 2, learn to spot the dangerous food shortage trends. Number 3, take decisive action. A perfect storm is brewing for a global food crisis. That's why I'm telling everyone to read the new book, Rising Prices, Empty Shelves. Warning signs that trigger the deadliest famines in history. Don't get caught unprepared when the crisis hits. This book is only available at risingpricesemptyshelves.com. You'll also get a free copy of Supermarket Survival, How to Cut Your Grocery Bills in Half. Again, that website is risingpricesemptyshelves.com. That's risingpricesemptyshelves.com.
A very wealthy U.S. citizen is predicting that in 2011, we will witness the most important day in America in more than 50 years. He says it will change everything about our lives. The way you shop, travel, invest, educate your children, and even how you take care of your health and your own family. Now, this man has made some outrageous predictions over the years. The crazy part is, he's usually right. You see, he predicted the collapse of GM, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and America's biggest mall owner, General Growth Properties. In fact, Barron's called his work a dire prophecy. Recently, he created